G'day, Chris here and welcome back to ClickSpring. I've just completed machining this piece of red Morrell burl that I'll be using for the base of the clock. It's a beautifully figured piece of wood and I think an ideal candidate for a French polish. But I do need to do some work on the surface finish before I can get started. For the most part, it's a case of going over each surface with fine grit abrasive paper and filling the small cracks where necessary. The two large cavities on the underside I'll be leaving as is. They're what remains of the original surface of the wood when the burl was first harvested, and I like the idea of them remaining in place as a feature of that surface. The shellac solution can be purchased ready mixed, but it's also quite easy to make a fresh batch from raw shellac flakes and denatured alcohol. In this case, I'm making what is referred to as a 2 pound cut solution, which seems to be a good general purpose mix. Check the description box below for some more information on the quantities. The mix starts out quite thick, but after an hour or so the shellac flakes fully dissolve and the solution can be transferred to a more convenient bottle. I need a small amount of olive oil to lubricate the pad during the polishing process. And for the pad itself, a section of linen and some cotton wadding that'll go inside to act as a reservoir for the polish. The shape of the workpiece means that I need access to both the sides and top as I polish. So I'm going to stand it off from the bench using 2 sanding blocks, along with some double-sided tape. It'll be firm enough to hold the work against the pressure of polishing, but will still be easy enough to separate at the end of the job. Now, strictly speaking, the term French polish refers to the process of applying the shellac, rather than to the shellac solution itself. Each wipe of the pad applies a thin film of the solution, and as the alcohol evaporates, the barest hint of a layer of shellac is left behind. It's a slow and repetitive process that gradually builds up the coating layer upon layer. As the solution starts to dry out, a small drop of oil helps to lubricate the surface of the pad. And with the pad now almost completely dry, that's where I'll leave it for this first application. So after being left alone to cure for 12 hours, the first application has shrunk considerably onto the surface and it's ready for a second coat. Again, charging the pad with a small amount of shellac and then lubricating with a drop of oil as the friction increases. A good sign that all is going as it should is a visible trail left by the alcohol as it evaporates. That trail gets shorter and the alcohol flashes off faster as the pad continues to dry out. Eventually, a shiny crust of shellac forms on the surface of the pad, which makes its action across the surface sleek and smooth. It now becomes possible to burnish the surface for the first time. I'm pressing quite firmly here and you can see the sheen of the surface immediately start to improve. Even with considerable pressure, the pad glides over the shellac coating, which is still soft and pliable, so it gives a little under the pressure, evening out the fine stroke marks and forming a more uniform surface. And then again, the shellac is given another period of time to cure. As the surface continues to develop over subsequent polishing sessions, I stop adding additional shellac and instead add pure alcohol to the inside of the pad. This dissolves the residual shellac in the wadding and so further dilutes the solution being applied. With the completion of this third polishing session, I'm going to leave the top surface as it is and give it a light wipe with a dry pad to remove the majority of the oil. Another 12 hours of curing, and then I can safely flip the workpiece and apply a similar coating to the other surface. The process can be continued for as many sessions as desired, but with this underside surface starting to look presentable, I'm calling the job done for now. Once all surfaces have been allowed to cure, a small amount of lighter fluid on a clean cloth can be used to clean off the last of the oil. And at this point the finish really starts to jump out, particularly under bright lighting. Now there's no avoiding the fact that this is a very time-consuming process, and I guess for that reason alone, French polishing has largely been replaced by more convenient wood finishing processes. It's reasonably fragile and susceptible to being marked by water and alcohol. But it's also quite easy to repair, and for a cheap, environmentally friendly and thoroughly traditional wood finish, it's certainly hard to beat. Thanks for watching, I'll see you later. And if this is your first ClickSpring video, welcome. You've just been watching what I call a spare parts video, a short video related to a much larger multi-episode project series where I show all of the steps to make a mechanical clock from raw metal stock. So be sure to subscribe and check out those other videos. If you'd like to help me bring you more project videos like this one, then consider becoming a ClickSpring patron. As a patron of the channel, you get access to exclusive patron-only video content, free plans for the patron projects, and the chance to win the actual project at the end of each build, like for example this useful little hand vise. Find out more by visiting patreon.com/ClickSpring. Thanks again for watching, I'll catch you on the next video.